combo with just the awareness right there.
Oh, and the read on the burst is gonna finish him off here. He's already
clean hit. Nope. No time to
my
throw
God,
me.
goes straight to the super. That's a perfect.
Now.
The Evo 2015 winner. Burst out after his mistake.
That was a block, and he just burst anyway. He just wants to keep this.
It's so close.
Yes,
He's got
that's
the
it.
meter.
That's a
Is
wrap.
that close? Is that it?
Hey guys, my name is Ben, and I'm a professional Yellow Square Guilty Gear fisher. It's a beautiful day today. The sun is shining, and the birds are chirping. Chirp, chirp. A great day to address an epidemic sweeping the world. An epidemic called Netplay Leo. To battle this epidemic, I will teach you how to play Leo. Because when the Netplay Leos take over, your best chance to survive will be to pretend to be one of them, so that maybe they won't notice you. Because if they do, they will suck out all of your chromosomes, transforming you into a Netplay Leo yourself, leaving you to roam Guilty Gear Netplay in search of chromosomes. Now I know what you may be thinking. Leo is a complex character, full of little intricacies and minute details. And since you don't play Leo, how on earth are you supposed to teach me how to play Leo? Well, worry not, my lovely viewers. I happen to live with a Leo specialist. But before we get into gameplay, we must discuss Leo's lore, as his deep lore may be the key to unlocking this complex character's true potential. Leo's lore is very interesting, full of words hand-picked by Daisuke himself. You see, Leo uses his head a little bit differently from most people, and naturally, this makes him the most qualified to be king of Britain. Illyria. As king, he spends most of his time getting his ass beat by every other character, and creating a dictionary with as many correct definitions as there are smart Leo players. In the modern age of fighting games, a lot of games have put in systems to make it easier for newer players to execute various motions. One of these systems is the 2-button dash macro. In this way, Leo is ahead of his time by having a 1-button dash macro. And just in case you're too stupid to dash and press a button at the same time, 5K covers that as well. Being a Leo player, you likely have your brain preoccupied with a lot of important material, meaning you don't have much room to learn 5 whole buttons. This would make pressure quite difficult for the average character. However, a Giga Chad like Leo is specifically designed with this in mind, as his 5K is a whopping +1 on block, meaning you really don't need other buttons to have pressure. Though if you're feeling extra bold, you can add in 2P to create tighter frame traps. Now if you really want to go the extra mile, yes, Leo does have other buttons. 5P and 2P are pretty bad for jabs. Being minus and slow, they're mainly useful after doing a plus move to frame trap. Close slash is what you usually want a Gatling into after 5K being +2, though it does push you far away, so resetting off 5K is sometimes better. Far slash is fairly mediocre, but you'll use it anyway because you think with cancelling it into 5H makes you a neutral god. 2S is +4, do with that what you will. 2D is a necessary evil, and 2H exists. Similar to his ground normals, his air normals are also all overshadowed by his kick button. It has a good hitbox and is active for longer than it takes to start up, so it's perfect for the kind of person that is still watching this video. But that's not why you're here, is it? You're here for this, and probably this. Those of you that haven't had the pleasure of experiencing Leo before thinking, wow, Leo seems to have very decent pressure. I'm sure with smart use of frame traps, throws, and resets, one could build a good pressure structure to overwhelm the opponent. But you see, these are not normal people we are talking about. These are Leo players. The concept of using normals for pressure is a bit beyond them. Therefore, they prefer to rely solely on special moves. A lot of these special moves can work well against conditioned opponents, though most Leo players don't really have time for that. When middle school ends at 4, dinner starts at 6, and bedtime's at 10. So let's not delay this any longer and go over the specials. First is run through. This is arguably both his most important and scrubbiest special. Leo dashes at the opponent with no regard for safety, leaving him in full counter hit state during the startup, which lasts roughly 300 frames. On any regular character, you would never use such an awful move. Unfortunately, Leo's movement options are very limited and he needs to get up close to be a remotely decent character. Therefore, you sometimes have to use this dash to mix up your approach, no matter how many brain cells it kills. Don't worry, you weren't gonna need them anyway. You can also use this move in pressure, the same way you can season your meat with manure. Similarly, you can use his Rekkas in pressure, though rather than manure, they're more like cheesecake. It tastes like manure, but people eat it anyway. Leo's flash kicks are some of the best in the game, specifically the 2-8 move. I need to specify this since most Leo players use his S projectile the same way you would a flash kick, more than his actual flash kicks. He also has an air thing that brings them to the ground and a ground thing that puts them in the air. But I've spent more time than I can justify talking about his worthless moveset already, so let's move on. Leo's unique mechanic is that he has the incredible, inhuman, awe-inspiring ability to turn around. This grants him the awesome power of not being able to jump, throw, or block. So really, nothing changes. Your main methods to enter back turn are charge 5H and cross up 236H. From his back turn stance, he can hit you in the shins, smack you in the head, and break away from his two-dimensional constraints for a brief moment. The frame data on his normals from this stance varies from good to absurd. A lot of his stance normals also have throw involved, meaning people will actually have to block. As this is impossible for most Guilty Gear players, victory is basically guaranteed while you're next to your opponent in this stance. The main mix-up in back turn stance is the dash. However, the dash can be thrown, so you want to mix up whether you throw it a normal or dash through the opponent. Leo also has a parry in back turn stance. It's interesting to note that most Leo players parry in back turn stance more than they block in his regular stance. Now our only problem is getting to the opponent. Generally, Leo has only 3 ways to get to his opponent: hopping towards them, jumping towards them, and running towards them. All of these options are terrible, but put together, they become almost average. The best you can hope for as Leo is that eventually one of these options will work before they kill you. Luckily for Leo, the game does not start at max range but at mid-range, and in mid-range, Leo is a little bit less shit. Leo's far slash fails at being a good move while also failing at being a bad move, making it the worst kind of move you can have. If you don't want to think about where to attack, 5H will just let you attack everywhere. And Sonic Boom is great till the opponent remembers this is anime and they can jump at you, while you get to remember that you don't have a functioning anti-air. In the end, Leo's neutral basically amounts to slamming your face into a brick wall till either the wall breaks or you do. A strategy Leo players use for more than just Guilty Gear. Good job for making it all the way here. You really have surpassed your age group. Now it's finally time to put everything together. Let's go cook up a game plan. First, we prepare our neutral. We want to put in 5K, 5H, JK, and 236H, and then mix. Now we prepare the match. First, pick the hardest to see stage. Now we add some input delay. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7... fuck it, just unplug the router. Now mix it together to make sure the delay is extra variable. Now that we have a good amount of delay, we can put in our neutral. Mix the Netplay with the neutral and spread it out. Over that, we want to put down some set play, make sure it covers up all the neutral, you don't want anyone seeing that, and stick some Netplay over it. Then put it in the oven. What comes out the other side? A shitty ass cheesecake.